Hello everyone. On today's episode of Meaningful Mondays with Neha, I have a very special guest, Shaheen. She is a play school teacher, a center head with a play school, and because a lot of parents speculate this fact that, is kindergarten or play school education really important or is just a money making gimmick? So to find that out, I thought it would be a great idea to have a play school center head along with us, a teacher who knows it all, who actually sits out there with the kids and does this day in and day out. So without further ado, let's get into the conversation and understand what is the difference. Hi Shaheen, welcome to my show and thank you so much for accepting my invitation and being here today.
Thank you for having me here today.
Okay, so let's just jump into the conversation, Shaheen. What motivated you to become a play school teacher?
I didn't have any kind of motivation. I finished my degree and I was like, okay, what shall I do? And I do like children a lot. So, what better than, but I didn't want to become a typical, teacher, go do the correction.
Right.
My involvement in the child's life should make a difference. That's what I thought, should be there. So I was going through the papers, what I can do, going through our typical Google and all, and I came across this ECE, which is Early Childhood Education, which is diploma program.
All right.
So I thought, okay, let me go into it and, see what.
So basically being a kids person motivated you to be like, okay, you can take up this job.
Correct.
Nice. So Shaheen, tell me, how do you define like the primary purpose of a play school? Like, I understand it's come up more popular in the last few years. So how do you define that?
Right. So coming to exactly what you stated, play school, when anybody says it, states it, are, older generations also. Kya hai play school? Typically go to school, ABCD padna hai.
Correct.
Make them play.
True.
But actually, if, being a qualified person and, doing this for so many years, it does play a very vital role. There is a saying like what children learn from the age of 1 to 6 is what not only children, we adults also remember forever. Right. So I'm sure you don't do preschooling, and but you still remember your rhymes.
Yes,
but
I do.
Remember like your 5th standard, 6th standard content.
Correct. Agreed.
So what the base, what the child receives is very crucial.
Right.
And we as a preschool, try our best to inculcate good values, good education.
Right.
Education in the sense it's more of understanding life skills, understanding everything that we do in our school is very playway method.
Okay.
But ultimately it is learning something.
Right.
So that is very essential.
So you're saying that children at that age of like, so what is like the starting age that students actually are allowed to like come in a play school?
So learning begins right from the child is born is what it's told.
All
right from they see black and white, so you can show these black and white dot cards, signature cards. Moving on to 6 months when their vision and color starts becoming more clear and prominent.
Okay.
So even in our school for that matter, and generally any preschool if you see now, 1.5, 1 point, we do something called a parent toddler program where we bring in the child with the mother because they're too small
obviously to handle. Correct. I understand.
And then we do a lot of brain gym activities, a lot of hands-on activities, bilateral activities.
So that is along with the parent, like along with the mums in the side.
It's like you said, mainly to handle the child. So for the child to understand what to do at that age and stage, they might only know their mother tongue, or they might understand only what is being said at home with the actions.
Exactly.
So helping the mother inculcate this in the child. We have start from there. So learning begins right from the child is born, and it's slowly we mothers literally say mama, papa, all that is also learning. It's just more enhanced and defined in a preschool.
Got it. Well, Shaheen, that actually brings me to my next question, which is like, how do you differentiate between a genuine learning appearance, in your school vis-a-vis to a business-oriented approach? Because a lot of parents out there have this in mind that, how do you kind of draw this fine line between the two?
Correct. So, yes, for the owners of the school, it is a business.
Yes.
But we do have a lot of passionate owners, and and there's a thin line, like you said, between an educator and an owner of the school. So for the teachers and mentors, it's a different, motive when we come to the school. And how is it different in the sense? if the play school just takes the money, you know, this is the amount because we charge for this, we charge
Correct.
for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then it becomes like a business-oriented school.
Exactly.
But when the teachers, the owners, the management, everybody gets involved and make sure a difference is seen.
Right.
When, you know, we promise, they come in for enquiries, and yes, the business is a really upcoming business. Every nook and corner has a play school
today.
So they ask us, what defines you, and, you know, how are you different from other schools?
Right.
So we promise certain things, you know, these are the things we provide that other schools don't provide, and embarking on that and making sure that is executed, making sure that change is seen in the child is what differentiates us, you know, from
the regular
business hai to, you know, paisa de diya and then let the children play and, you know, thoda activities they do.
Correct.
But when we make sure, you know, if we promise brain gen activity, we promise 8 levels of multiple intelligence, which is simple. Linguistic being language, logical being numeracy. Every day there should be an activity based on that. So,
but my point here is, Shaheen, do children actually grasp all this at that age?
Yes, they do. They do. It is just how you teach.
Okay.
So if you're going to put a number on the board and say this is 1 and show an apple and say, 1 apple, so 1.
Right.
Then the child might listen, might not listen.
Right.
So in one thing what we need to analyze first about the child is, there are 3 ways of learning, which is visual, auditory and kinesthetic. Visual are children, you, like I said, if you draw number 1 on the board,
they would be able to relate.
Correct.
Yes.
Auditory is when you're talking, when you're showing them videos, even audio videos now.
They're listening to it.
Correct.
Okay.
And there are some children who learn kinesthetically. So we give them an activity sheet or a hands-on activity, like a basket full of numbers, and pick out only the number 1 that you have learnt now. So when you you know, implement a style of implement a lesson to the child, we have to make sure all these kinds of teaching is involved to ensure all the children are able to grasp
it that way. Shaheen, that's quite interesting to know, and gave me a different perspective of, you know, actually this play school learning. So tell me, like, what is the kind of curriculum that you guys follow, like, you know, in terms of format, because they're 2 small kids, I understand. Correct. So, and what is there, and what actually helps them in their, you know, as a child development thing, how does it promote?
Correct. So now, like in our higher education, we have CBSE, ICSE, Cambridge, IB.
Correct, boards.
Even preschool has that.
Really?
Yes, not only people in the field would, you know, define it better. So we typically hear the trending one right now, which is Montessori. And then we have our traditional one, which is the kindergarten method. So we have quite a few other methods, like something called as Reggio. Reggio Emilio method. If you know, go in detail regarding that, you will see it's more on using very natural things, natural available resources in the environment.
So these are things which are like centric only because they are very young kids. So because they are aged between, say, 2.5 types.
Correct.
Okay. So the same is not to be followed like when an LKG, UKG kid.
You can. We do have Montessori schools that go right up to, you know, 10th and 12th and all.
No. What I'm like trying to understand is that this is the format that is ideal for that age. That like the very small age, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I won't say exactly ideal. Right. So for a very long time, it was kindergarten. Very typically, it was very kindergarten. That is our traditional way of teaching. Show a book, write on the board, and this is A, B.
That's how all of us have been learning.
Correct. So then, as you know, time went on, we realized children are already learning. And we actually in our school also, we call ourselves auntie or mentor to the children. We're not teachers. So we just provide environments. We provide them resources and you know, a setup. Like based on our theme, okay, this is the target of learning today, you know, the aim of learning that the child, and we provide the environment, the child explores first. So it's a very question based learning, inquiry based learning, I would put it, you know, more defined. So put the orange in front of the child, and rather than telling them, you know, this is orange, we're going to learn about orange.
They kind of figure out themselves.
Correct. So like I told, they are from infancy, they're learning. So at home, they know what's an orange. So get it out of them, you know, it's there in their vocabulary, what kind of words they use. And then you can add on to the knowledge they have. So when you do an inquiry-based learning, they tell you what they know. So as a teacher, then you know what to add on for the child to learn for that age appropriate.
I think this answers a question that a lot of parents, ask, and they who feel that, primary or this play school education isn't actually that important, because a lot of parents who come to me for counseling for their second kids, many a times end up asking me, kids such a waste, why are we putting in them into play school, it's only money making. Reason why I actually wanted to have this discussion with you, and but it gives me a different perspective, my dear parents. I'm sure all of you listening out there that, the way she's told that kids start learning at a very early age. So if they are able to learn, why not give them a platform to, explore and learn even at that early age? Because at home, any which ways, what are they going to do? Just play around and just ultimately end up with phone these days and do that. So I think that's a fantastic approach and a very different perspective to what we think is just business, but it's actually way beyond. That brings me to my final question, Shaheen, that what according to you are the key factors that contribute towards the enriching experience for the kids in a play school when they are there, what they're learning? What is like the overall, experience per se that, they learn?
Right. So it's not, a list of things. It's a very few, like you said, key factors.
Yes.
If we keep this in mind, and then the ultimate learning and providing happens naturally.
Right.
So one big thing is planning.
Right.
They're babies, they're small children, not like big children. Give the worksheet, do it, copy from the board.
Right.
So we need to do a lot of planning and prep. So before that, what we need to do as a teacher, as a mentor, is analyze the child, assess the child to understand where the child stands for his age. So we have a certain developmental milestones, right? For this age, the child has to, know this. They should be able to.
So does it ever happen that somebody's walked into you with a child and you've actually told no, that this child will not be taken because maybe he or she is not ready to be taken into a school right now?
Not precisely. Okay. So that's where we're saying analyze the child and see where we need to work upon the child. Maximum where we say no is if the child is a special child or he's going through therapy, and if we don't have a teacher
who can handle that kind of a student.
We don't give false promises. So that's what planning, and make sure you know what you're doing. If you know you can't do that, if you're not qualified for that, don't promise what you can't do
it.
Because we promise the child is going to develop and
learn
grow
something.
and learn and evolve. He's surely going to show a transformation. If that doesn't happen, then you're not doing justice to being a play school teacher.
That's, I think, a very, very interesting perspective that you gave, Shaheen. Like a lot of other parents who used to come to me, somewhere even I had this in my mind, that, okay, is it really required or is it just a business? And you've kind of busted that thinking in my head today, and I'm sure a lot of parents who are watching it out there. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for enlightening all of us with so many things which have, helped us get into the right direction when it comes to a play school today. Thank you so much, Shaheen. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you could make it.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad I could give a better perception of, the wrong notion teachers and parents are having.
You definitely
And I hope I've clarified it for a few at least.
You definitely have.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm sure after watching this interview, a lot of us have changed our perception towards play school education. It is not just a money-making venture, but yes, it does create a difference in the child at that age of even 1.5 to 2.5, as she rightly said. So with a parent toddler program, which I was completely unaware, but it has opened up my eyes and my mind towards a whole new learning, as we all of us know that kids today are way, way, way intelligent than what we were earlier. So why not explore is their funda, and this is why the education is important. Do let me know how you like the episode and how it worked with you. Your ideas, what more you would want to see on Meaningful Mondays with Neha. Until then, it's me, Neha, saying bye.